It's that time of the year again. Everybody's talking about Jalen Hurts, and you know our buddies on Good Morning Football are no different. And let's check out and let's find out what they're talking about.
After finishing 24th in total offense last season, the Eagles' offense will bounce back in 2026. How, Manti?
Facts.
Definitely.
Asking Manti. Okay. The question is, how will the Eagles' offense bounce back?
Because of their new offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion. When you understand.
Okay. So before they get any further, the biggest issue last year was the offensive line not being healthy, period. The passing game had a lot to do with it, but it was a domino effect. We can all agree on that. Pass blocking was trash. Run blocking was not much better.
And what makes this offense go? The offense runs through Saquon. I know.
You're on the right track. Or at least you're going in the right direction. But it's not Saquon. Specifically, it's the offensive line. So I understand you want to run it through Saquon. But Saquon cannot run unless he has the offensive line. So right game, wrong stadium.
Oh, you want to run it through Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is at his best when Saquon in 2024 was running crazy. When he
yes and no. Yes, that year Jalen was at his best. But if you remember, Jalen played his best when they shut Saquon down in the Super Bowl. So who had to step up, get out of the pocket, move the chains with his legs, throw the dagger, put the ball in great positions so we can get first downs, keep the chains moving, and ultimately put 6 points on the board. Jalen did that in the air. And no, that was not when Jalen was playing his best, in my opinion. He was playing his best, if you want to go back and look at it, in 2022, before Saquon Barkley was even here. And when we did play and he outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, Miles Sanders was almost useless. So he was playing his best in 2022, in my opinion, because we had less weapons. A.J. Brown was peaking. Him and A.J. and Jalen Hurts were getting it done. Smitty wasn't quite there yet, but he was formidable, but he wasn't the Smitty that he was now. But we were still getting it done. He still made big catches. He still was a big contributor, but it was all AJ. But AJ and Jalen Hurts were playing their best ball together that particular year. So you are wrong on that point, sir.
He was almost about to break Eric Dickerson's record when he was jumping over people backwards. That is when Jalen Hurts is at his best. Sean Mannion is going to go back to that. Sean Mannion is going to put Jalen Hurts under center, and he's going to hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley. And guess.
Yes, he's going to hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley, but we're also going to throw the ball over the field. We're also going to do better play action, and with the advent or with the addition of doing zone read runs on our offense, it is going to open up some much better play action, in my opinion. So it's not just all on Saquon. Saquon will be a direct result of the offensive line blocking better. And that's the one thing that everybody's going to skip over because they're going to give all the credit to Saquon. Saquon looks better and blah, blah, blah. And anybody that's doing homework, anybody that watched the games last year, you knew what the issue was. The offensive line was trash last year, and that was not up for debate. Not even close. So while everybody's already trying to jump on the narratives of what's going to make us better, yes, it's Sean Mannion. Sean Mannion is going to take the same stuff and he's going to cook it a little bit different. He's going to put his spin on it. He's going to make it work, and he's going to win the chess match. He's going to know what to run and when to run it. So I think the pressure this year is on Mekhi Lemon and Dontavian Wicks, because between those two, and maybe it's Hollywood Brown, maybe it's Darius Cooper, maybe he'll step up. I don't know. But one of those other receivers, it has to be a tandem. If we get one that gets close, anywhere close to 1,000 yards receiving, to me, that's going to be icing on the cake. But I've said this before, all we need is somebody on the other side of Devontae Smith to let defenses know you can't leave me alone over here. So we still have that going. We still got Dallas Goedert. The man can still catch. He might not be the fastest tight end in the world, but we're going to get an opportunity to see what the young boy can do, Eli Stowers. So we got some more weapons on offense now that A.J. Brown is gone. So we'll be able to see what we can do with that. So, again, you're not necessarily all the way wrong, but it's some other things that you kind of pushing under the table.
That's what's going to happen after that. He's going to do what Jalen Hurts does best, and that's get Jalen outside of the pocket and throw the ball deep downfield. I also think that having the departure of A.J. Brown could be a good thing for Jalen Hurts. There's a lot of talk.
I mean, I already talked about addition by subtraction. If you missed that one, go check out my video. I believe that to be true to a certain degree. Now you have that issue out the door. That's just not something that's on your radar anymore. Not something that you have to worry about. Did he get enough catches? If he didn't get enough catches, is he going to be disgruntled? What is he going to say? How is he going to act? Just that whole issue is out the door. One less thing to worry about. So yes, addition by subtraction. I agree.
When you lose a wide receiver one, it's a bad thing for a quarterback. But Jaleel, you understand this. Sometimes having a crutch in a wide receiver one limits a quarterback from being an actual quarterback.
Disagree. Because at the end of the day, a quarterback is going to hit the open man. Doesn't matter if it's AJ, Devontae, Dallas. It doesn't matter. But I understand your point. I just don't like the way you said it. Jalen's job is to get the ball to the open man. Now, when you get to a situation where you're trying to force the ball to a particular person, and that happens on every team, if it comes crunch time, you want to get the ball in the hands of your best receiver. But everybody knows who their best receiver is, and teams double and they scheme to protect against that person, all those type of things. So a lot of times they'll force it, and maybe the guy makes a great play, and maybe the defense makes a great play. But do you want to take that risk? Or do you play the chess match and hope that everybody is going to double and swing coverage and shift the zone over to a particular man and leave somebody else open on the other side? And it's up to your quarterback to hit that open man. So there's different ways you can do that. So again, I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily agree with it though.
When you have schemes and plays that are designed specifically to have to go to somebody, it doesn't give Jalen Hurts opportunity to be like, man, let me look at what the defense is actually giving me, coach, and get it to the receiver that actually should get the ball.
That is always a choice. Always. Good quarterbacks will do that. Good quarterbacks will know who's open and who's not. If that's your guy, if that's your man, $100,000, and you're going to throw that ball to that person on that route, come hell or high water, you guys got some usually unspoken communication. You guys know what you're going to do. And usually it works more times than not. However, that puts you at risk. That puts you at risk for a bad turnover, incomplete, or a whole nother list of things that could happen. Anything other than get the first down, get the touchdown, and do what you got to do. So every time you are in that situation, you are at a risk. So it is up to the quarterback to discern what's coming at him. And if he needs to go another way, a good quarterback will go the other way.
I think that Jalen Hurts' best football is ahead of him, and it could be ahead of him and should be with somebody like Sean Mannion at the helm.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think Sean Mannion is not too far away from the field when he was an actual player with the Vikings, career backup. I think he only started one game. But you don't give up that muscle memory. It never goes away, especially when you're less than 5 years out of the game. And he's out of the game from a player's perspective, but he's in the stadium, in the film room. He's been coaching. So he's still in the midst, and you never lose that muscle memory. And I've said this before, he can speak the language. He can speak the language. If you are a quarterback, Kellen Moore was the same way. If you have been a quarterback in the National Football League, and now you are a coach, coaching quarterbacks, you speak the language. It immediately drops the learning curve on what you have to teach a QB. And Sean Mannion has that. Kellen Moore had that. Doug Peterson had that. Hopefully we can keep Sean Mannion around for longer than a season. Jalen seems to get better when he's had at least 1 year with a particular offensive coordinator. Look at what it was with Kellen Moore. Look at what it was with Shane Steichen. And hopefully we can keep Sean Mannion around longer than one freaking season. Hopefully maybe 3 or 4. And then the sky's the limit. But at the end of the day, going back to what they said initially, the key to this offense running smoothly, Sean Mannion's offense and his scheme getting production out of our offense, it all comes down to our offensive line.